I was talking to a friend who has a lot of contamination content, and that is, I have not had a ton of OCD content over the years, but recently, some of the rituals I have, which make sense to me for bringing packages in the house and things like that, I have more empathy now for people with contamination content because it's exhausting. And that's what I said to the friend last night. I was like, "Wow, this is like so exhausting." And she's like, "Yeah, I do it in all weather, not just right now." So we were talking about like getting packages in and stuff like that, and what to do there. And it really um, is a full time job, like just keeping that vigilance against contamination. And I think I was able to see that in a way I never was before.
Yeah, Dr. Jenna Sheftel and I had another podcast about COVID-19 that came out last week, and we were talking just about that. A couple things that we had talked about is how it is actually really normalizing and validating, or we hope that for those that suffer from contamination OCD, they suddenly feel more supported because now so many people understand how painful it is to be palpably aware every minute about the possibility that you're contaminated or could be contaminated. I think the other thing that I would respond with is thinking through um, what your what the underlying fear is can help you figure out what to do next. So sometimes contamination OCD is about the feeling of uncertainty. And then I think using the same framework that we were talking about before, like signal versus noise, and using the CDC as guidelines for like what's actual problem solving versus uncertainty that you have to get used to over time. But the other thing is, I think, this inflated responsibility around like awareness that because there's the possibility that I could get somebody else sick, I can't let go of that as a possibility. And I can't like I'm doing anxiety driven behaviors because of the chance that I could get someone else sick. And I think the framework around looking at a conscientious model. So the answer again is the CDC as your conscientious model. But oftentimes when people have that fear in particular, they're just afraid. Their over conscientiousness is making them feel so guilty that their behaviors become anxiety and guilt driven. And so just watch for, or like two other people, thank you for bringing up this topic, Rick. For other people, watch for your anxiety and your guilt, and potentially rather than interpreting that as threats or problems to solve, you could also think about it as this is my conscientiousness being hijacked by anxiety, and I can use the guidelines of the CDC.